Oh, so you're on mute right now. Oh, perfect, because Mo's fixing a brunch too, so it's perfect timing.
I just needed a little snack. So
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. Good to see you here.
yeah, thank you. Hi, Mo. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Kendra. Nice to meet you too.
Where in the world are you?
Guerneville.
Nice.
Where are you?
I'm in Auburn.
Oh, I love Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I actually love Auburn too. It's usually like the drive-through town.
Yes.
Right. You
And,
stop to
like
go
the
maybe on the way to Tahoe.
That's pretty
Right.
much it. And then the funny thing is we actually stayed there for the weekend and I fell in love.
Oh.
I think there's did it work, Santana?
No, I used my phone and now I can't get my iPad to shut up.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Look, we got Kendra. So it was fantastic.
Kendra!
Yay. This worked out perfect.
Yeah. I was telling is that your iPad?
Yeah, it's doing, I don't know how to, it wouldn't talk and now it won't shut up.
Just turn it off.
Yeah, that's another problem.
Oh,
Welcome to a new iPad.
You don't know how to turn it off.
gosh.
Well, you have to go through general. Okay, I'm shutting down. Screw it.
You know
There.
what? I just had someone say that she can't connect either. So I'm going to say try to manually put in the meeting number and password.
Okay.
So, everything is direct. We've heard this. Everything is direct. Nothing is in a retrograde. So
That's what I was just thinking.
this is all us.
Weird.
All you and me said. And I was telling Mo, I said, I was just on a Zoom with Santana. I don't know what happened. It was weird, right?
Santana. What happened with Santana was Santana.
Are you sure? Because you were still in the same thing, right? Yeah, so weird. All right. So welcome to Chill and Chat Fridays, where we pretty much just talk about anything intuition or energy. Every week I do something just a little bit different so we can pretend we have a topic. And today's topic is mini readings. So if you don't know about what I do, is I actually, do you? You don't? Okay, so basically what I do is I am an intuitive reader, but I'm a little bit more than that. What I do is I find out your spiritual challenge within the, I'll say the conflict in your day. And then we talk about very small practical things to overcome it. And my favorite part is usually I just have you look at a different part of your life where it's not as painful to look at, but wherever you are is where you are. Meaning that if you're having a challenge with someone at work, there's probably something going on at home as well, or something within you. But it's easier to look in those areas. So we have you look in those areas, and then where the big challenge is starts to untangle itself, and then it's easier to digest. Make sense? So, and then how I do readings usually is I take your name, age, and your birth month, and I do a little bit of numerology around it. But the numerology does not come from. Basically, I'm a little bit of a rebel, just so you know. So yeah, I like to put my own secret sauce on everything. So when people say I'm in a something year, I think Santana, you did this, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because my numerology is numerology. So yeah, and I have mad respect for all those people who have done that research. What I found is that if I've found that I can live with a maximum of 7 rules. After rule number 8, it's done. So I played a lot of soccer, and there's a ton of rules, but there's only 7 you have to pay attention to. And it was my favorite sport, right? Every other sport that's too technical, like hockey, doesn't have too many big rules. Football has too many big rules, so I only stick with 7, right? Pass interference, roughing the passer, offsides, encroachment, holding. Everything else I really don't care.
True.
I'm glad to know somebody else rolls the same way, because I didn't count 7, but I only have so much capacity, and then all the rest of the rules got to go away.
Right, right. And that's why I have mad respect for tarot card readers, astrologers, because they have so much information and the information stacks on each other. And by the time I hit the seventh thing, which is like, I don't know, in tarot, probably the third card, I'm done. So, and so that's why I created Rebel Tarot. And Rebel Tarot, you play with your, you learn with your playing deck. And there's only two rules. There's only two rules. And that's how we. That's how we work it out. So do you have any questions, Ms. Kendra?
No, but I love a rule. I love a fellow rule breaker. So
Yeah. Well, that's the, I think the problem is that I have a hard time breaking the rules, so I do better with very little rules.
I was gonna say I switched that up on you. I guess you're not breaking the rules, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I only have two, I can follow two rules.
right, that makes sense.
Every other rule, then I'm like, oh, I just can't do it. So I would love to do readings. I'll tell you how I get to the information, which is different than actually doing the reading. And then we just get going. So you've had readings before, right, Kendra?
Yes, but not many.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Right. So you're discerning. I like that.
Mhm.
Actually, I think you're discerning in life, which is awesome.
I think so. Now that I understand prudence after dream weaving, I feel like now I talk about discernment all the time. And yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Diane. Good to see you. Everybody's having did you have a challenge getting in?
No, I was in between things and I can only pop in. I have a 1:00 appointment. So I'm like, well, I'll just pop in for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was thinking you were doing it on Facebook and then I saw the Zoom thing.
So I want to do it on Facebook Live. I can't figure out how to have more than 5 people. You know how it kept dumping out on the 6th person. So once I figure that piece out, then I'm going to go back to Facebook Live. It's just so much nicer. But until then, Zoom is the go-to. I think Facebook's just not liking me right now because I can't do the streaming through Zoom right now either. So even though nothing's changed. All right. So who has a question for me? It's mini readings time. Anybody? Come on, Santana.
Santana's
Of
all-
course, always have a question, but Kendra, please, if you have a burning one, s'il vous plaît.
No, you get the ball rolling and I'll get a feel for it here.
So I've had the honor to speak with Cynthia prior to this call and something came up. So now, and she picked at it. Now I want to know more about it. The idea that happened was last night, my kitchen is next to my front door. And when you approach my house, you have to come through a gate. And then as you approach the front door, there's a floodlight that turns on, right?
Blind you.
Last night, I'm cooking. There's a clear knock on the door, not a doorbell ring, but a dong, 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 right? And I put my utensils down because I was cooking. The dogs immediately started barking because somebody's at the door. So I'm shushing the dogs. I turn around and I realize we're still in darkness. The floodlights did not come on. I don't see anybody walking away from the door. And it just was. So I was like, what? So I opened the front door and there's no package there either. So there is no way I could have had a knock on the door and not seen the person go away. The dogs reacted like they were there. The floodlight did not come on. Cynthia is now telling me it's a message. And if you can expand, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So you actually, if I'm pretty sure you're getting this in download, right? So you're probably already getting the messages of this. And I think Anne works with guides, right? She works with guides. So she'll probably confirm this if you decide to talk to her about this part of our convo, is that you have a pretty damn big guide who is trying to get your attention.
Merlin.
And, right? Was that?
It's Merlin. I know it's Merlin.
Okay, great. So here's the deal. Merlin is saying it's time to put him in the part of your daily practice because you're not. And you want to think of it as food or as sustenance, because by you calling in Merlin, Merlin's going to feed you. And that's what you really want. So, and this is kicking you into the next piece of your journey. And the beautiful part about this journey is that it's not like you're on the next leg. It's almost like, you're running and have you ever run a half marathon?
Rode a bike for a full marathon.
Great.
Never ran.
But
Yeah.
but you know that they have people that are handing you stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right, to keep you
Yeah.
hydrated.
Hydrated.
And fed. So sometimes they'll give you like goo or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And so this is like the goo station, right? So it's kind of like, hey, it's a feeding station so that you can keep going on this part of your journey. So I want you to know it's not like you're at a next leg. You're at a place where you're like, oh, I'm starting to tucker out. Who uses that damn word? I'm starting to tucker out. I'm starting to tucker
I'm
out.
22. I've never heard that word.
So as you're getting tuckered, feeling a little peckish, so what's going to happen is that Merlin's here to say, hey, don't dip energetically. Now's the time to actually to beef it up a little bit. So you want to make space for Merlin in your practice. And if you don't do it in your daily, which I believe you probably are, what you want to do is you just kind of want to make it a little bit more special so that it triggers you because you're the one that's freaking out.
Dude, you are so on point. Okay, so here's the truth. Had a reading a little while ago, found out Merlin's my man, right? He's been wanting to help me. And the irony is I've been collecting Merlin since I was little. Okay, so I have a ton of wizards. Okay. Recently on my last reading, I went and got Merlinite, the crystal Merlinite, right? Because it's magical, it's supposed to help me. So I bought it and I've been carrying it with me and I've been carrying it. And my mentor there tells me, put this in your copper pyramid with yourself and welcome him, meet him, bring him in. You're so on point in that. I have yet to do that. I've been a little scared. So in the mornings, what I do is I welcome him in, right? But if I haven't met him, it's not working. So what you're saying to me is I'm validating, not that you need it, but I'm validating you in that you're right. I already know this. I haven't taken the step to make it something special, an invitation in, but I will do that today since I bothered you with that question and you're giving me the answer and there's a knock on the door. It's time. I get it.
So here's the deal. You can do it this way. Trick yourself. Like I love tricking myself. That's the fun part. Put the Merlinite in the pyramid. You don't have to be in there. And then what you know is that Merlin's there. Take the Merlinite out of the pyramid and then you put your ass in there. And then what'll happen, and then see what happens. Because
Okay.
there's going to be a shift. And then the shift will get you, the shift is kind of like the segue, right? So then you get to decide whether or not you're going to connect with Merlin at that time, or you'll know the shift and then you can get comfortable with the shift and then you can go ahead and start working with Merlin, right? So that way you see
Wait.
forward movement,
Yeah.
right? See progress.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Who else wants to get a reading? Mini reads. It's so much fun. Go ahead, Diane. Diane, and then Kendra.
Oh, sorry. You're new, Kendra. You should go. I'll let you go if you want.
I mean, I'll accept Diane. Thank you.
I love it. Hey, Kendra, what's up?
So I'm supposed to ask a question. I mean, gosh, there's
You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can.
so many things interwoven.
You can always ask, what do I need to know right now too?
I think that might be a good, because What do I need to know now, Cynthia?
Yeah, what's your age?
43.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that in a second.
That's the bad age.
No, it's not a bad age. I'll tell you about it in a second. Did you just turn 47? What's your birth month?
No, 43.
Oh, you turned 43, you're 7.
Yeah, I
I'm
turned 43 in November.
Oh, you know what? It's a 7-year. It's still, but it's okay. So, and what's your birth month? Sorry.
November.
November. All right. So you are solidly 43. So here's the deal. Your past couple of years have been challenging, right? 2 years ago has been really tough and you had no control over it. Everything was I call it environmental. So like every time you take a step forward, you kind of got like sidekicked, you got blindsided a lot. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things that you didn't really have control over. Hey, Don. And so it was a challenge because it's like you couldn't get your motor running in a certain way. Does that make sense? And then last year, all of a sudden you found purchase, meaning that hand hold, toe hold, and you could start seeing things. Now what's happening, and here's why it's now what's happening is that, and I'm getting goosebumps, so this is really good. What's happening is you're having a whole lot of opportunities starting to present itself, but you are gun shy. And you're gun shy because of the past 2 years. So let's talk about the past 2 years and why it's really important to have really shitty years like that. So it's important to have shitty years because it shakes us up out of stubbornness or the sameness, and then it knocks out the stuff that's not necessary, and then it changes up your definition of who you are or what is really important to you, what's your purpose. And then you can go back on purpose. And so it's almost like you God, I don't even want to say it this way, but it's almost like you're back to toddlership where you're like, holy crap, I'm soiling myself. And so now you got to retrain yourself, and it's embarrassing and all these other things, but you can do it again, so the retraining process is really easy. So here's the thing, you're very protected. There's no such thing as failure now. It's a little bit different in that there will be a little bit of consequence, but the consequence is nothing like what it would have been done 2 years ago. So I would actually call them blips more than anything else with every choice that you take for the opportunity. This is all about daring yourself. So this is the year of daring. And I love knowing you now and that you're asking, because it's also the year of intending, because where you intend, momentum follows. And because you're no longer hindered by the environmental constraints like you were 2 years ago, that it's actually going to move much more quickly for you. Your intentions are going to be much more clear. It's okay to change your intentions, because what's important is that you stay on purpose. So here's an example. If I say today, I intend a bicycle, there might be a really crappy 10 speed that gets dumped over my backyard, right? And I'm like, shit, that's not exactly what I wanted. So then I intended a little bit this way, and then, oh, I don't want a 10 speed. I actually want a motorcycle. That works. That comes to me for free. That's not a road bike. I really do want this, by the way. That's no longer more than a 550, but it can't be a weenie bike because I don't want a weenie bike, but I want to look cool. Do you see what I'm saying? And so this is where the momentum goes. So you're always refining your intention, and that the intention is going to come to you soon. So this is a great year of practice for you. So if this is not part of your practice, I highly recommend it, because next year it's all about success. Okay, 2022 is a year of success for you. Super exciting. The thing about success is that it has no judgment. So if you're feeling poopy about yourself, success is going to make you feel as poopy as you could possibly be. And success will go, yay, I did my job. So this is why this is a good year of practice, because you want to work with your intentions and see how that takes you. And you want to refine that skill so that next year you're into an abundance. And then if you're in abundance on purpose, meaning that you're doing it with purpose and deliberately, then the year after that, you're going to be so full, then it's the year of release, because you don't need all that stuff. And then in release, then you lovingly give things away. You release all these things with love, and then you get to reimagine the year after that. And that's how your cycles go, right? You're a little bit, here's what I love about you. You present very, very consistent. Like your energy is consistent. When I see your face, I consistently know, like, here's your energy level. Even when you're saying you're feeling sad, here's how I feel your energy level. But how you feel inside, super emotional, and you keep it kind of private, and I respect that. And at the same time, that's the thing that's kind of fucking you up on the intention side. So, call it for what it is. And then that way, because you get to keep refining it. So you might as well do it, if you're having a crappy mood, throw a tantrum, put your tantrum in your intention, and then change it. Because that's how you're actively intending.
Okay.
you have any questions around that?
No, but I do appreciate that comment on energy of, yeah, I can put it all in here and and have a and have a presence.
You're actually, yeah, and you're actually a really good manifester. You just tend to manifest a little bit on the low side.
Yes.
So, and so I actually need to take lessons from you because I manifest very small, right? So I make baby steps look like giant steps, right?
Yeah, I always manifest my basic needs,
Yeah,
but I need to blow that ceiling off. I want
yeah,
something.
yeah. And really, okay, so then I'll call it, let's talk about it energetically. Because of your emotions, it's not really a ceiling. All it is that it's kind of like if you think about intention as clear energy and your emotions are colored energy, your intentions are not transparent because the emotions are involved. That's why it's really important to go ahead and acknowledge and feel it, do whatever the emotional thing is, so that you get to see it for what it truly is in your intention, and then you can change it. It's not going to change it's not going to change the course of your intention. It's actually going to help you see it, and then you get to correct, that's the difference, right? It's not going to skew you. It's just going to, it's just going to, you're going to be able to see it and then you get to correct,
Okay.
which is awesome. Then you get to see yourself in a different way,
Yeah. Yeah.
super excited for that. Like super excited for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just so you know, this year is a sexy year for you. So if you want to draw in somebody, sexy, sexy, sexy,
Okay.
hot,
I'm in.
hot.
Let's do this.
I'm not joking. I'm a little bit jealous.
I'll
'Cause I
share
am not in that year. I am not in that cycle at all. So just know that the more that you intend, the clearer your stuff is, the sexier you become. There's something really, really alluring as you start doing that. I mean, you're already hot, but it's like the hot factor goes up. So lucky you. Yeah, lucky you. I'm gonna go back to my grandma one-piece suit. Well, you go have your little sexy day.
Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I love doing this stuff. All right, Diane, it's you.
All right. Mine is a little kind of like how it was with Santana, where I'm curious. I felt like I was getting a strong message from my spirit guides,
Mhm.
and I acted upon it this week. And I'm curious if I was correct in that feeling. Because it's something it's like basically a 10-week course that I signed up for something that is costing some money, and it's kind of taking a risk, but it felt like the right direction, and that's what I'm just trying to verify if it was.
No, it actually is a really good thing. The thing for you is that you have come from a lifetime as the direct path is the best path to go. Even if that path is through granite wall, when all you had to do is just sidestep it a couple, just go oop, oop, and then you'd be moving on. But for you, it's always been about direct path, direct path, direct path. And this is you being fluid, which is amazing because fluidity is not your favorite thing. Hey, Don, I'll be with you as soon as I'm finished talking with Diane. So, so this is an amazing thing for you because it'll, by you not taking a direct path, you'll actually be able to view things in a different way. And that's what's going to change your perspective. And once your perspective changes, you're going to notice that what you thought was a direct path wasn't a direct path. Does that make sense? Like, and so like, I invite everybody to do some kind of easy line dancing blindfolded. All right. I've done it. And what happens is that you find out that you are not as on course as you think you are. So you could be in a direct line, but you'll find that your target's over here and your direct line that you're really fighting for is going this way. So what'll happen is because of the course that you're taking, what it does is that it elevates your viewpoint, and then you can like whoop, then you can, right? And then because you're actually saving time, you can actually take a scenic route a little bit, like enjoy yourself a little bit more. because you enjoy yourself on the daily, but your joy is not bigger than daily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, seems
I
about
see,
right.
I mean, there's something to be said for daily joy. I think it's awesome. But there's also something to be said for like I told, so Dee's gonna kill me because she doesn't like when we talk about us going away, like out in public, but fuck it. We're going to Palm Springs. I'm super excited. And here's the thing that I'm super excited about. I'm super excited about thinking about my business in a different environment because I'm going to get bombarded with different kinds of creativity. And to me, so that's my joy. My joy is my work because I get to hang out with all you guys, right? I get to be with the cool kids. So, right. So hanging with the cool kids is like the bigger joy. And that's where you're working towards right now is the bigger joy. And just so you know, bigger joy is a practice that you did not have the luxury of experiencing. So it's not anything against you. It's just something that you were brought up not having,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I guess I could understand that. Yeah. So it makes sense.
So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, right. Um, so good for you because what'll happen is then your circle of people will get to experience bigger joy as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. And it's funny because the gal that's leading it, like when I was wavering, we had a quick call and then like, I was just explaining kind of why my thoughts, but then I sort of led into I'm like, I just feel like the universe is telling me to do this. And then because I said, she's like, well, because you just said that, I already know, because obviously it's not anything in the spiritual realm, but she's like,
Uh-huh.
but I can already tell we're kind of the same type of person because I totally understand what you're saying by that. And I was like,
Perfect.
yeah. So
Perfect. And I'm going to talk to you offline because I think if you take one of my courses that's coming up, it's gonna like bust you open. So we'll talk about that and we'll see if it's something that like resonates with you. Because if you're ready, you're really ready. It's just like you're like, holy shit, I'm used to my butt being clenched in a certain way that if I unclench my butt, that something might happen. And the truth is, yes, something will happen, but it's not what you think it's going to be. It's all good,
yeah.
right?
And I'm just finishing. I don't know if you've ever read the book Dying to Be Me, but I recommend it to everybody. Anita Marjani. Oh my gosh. It's like been life-changing. I've done the Audible and I'm like almost done with it in like 2 days. It's so amazing. It's a woman that had near-death experience and just explains her whole transformation in life because of it. So it's and she does this whole course and everything too. So I recommend.
Excellent. All
Can you
right.
put that in the chat, please?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to pop over to Dawn. What's up, Dawn? Do you have audio or do you want me to go through chat? Dawn, I love you so much. Come back to me. Dawn. Oh man, I lost her. Who else wants a reading? Go ahead, Momo.
Just wondering about business. Business where I'm at, cultivating business for the year. It's been suggested I work with children. I don't know. Any messages, anything coming up? I feel like business is building, at least.
It is. It's funny that you talk about kids because kids is actually kind of your biggest fear.
It is my biggest fear.
Yeah, they're gnarly little bastards, right?
I'm
And
not afraid of them. I'm afraid of their parents. Me and kids get along great.
so here's the deal. Use your pet experience and just transfer it over because right. So here's the thing about working with kids. You don't have one client, you have a minimum of 2 clients, right?
Exactly.
So what's really interesting to me is then you have to speak 3 different languages, which is your language with the kids, and the language with the parents. And you got to come from 3 different perspectives. Okay. the reason I find it very interesting is because you're such a sensitive person that if any of that is not solid, it's really going to crush you, right? So what I recommend is you keep working with your pets,
Yes.
right? And build that up strong, and then hang out with a certain demographic of kids and do it for shits and giggles. All right. So I could see you doing this. I could see you doing this for a long time, and you could do groups, and you could actually put your signature into schools if you wanted to, because you know how to make it plain day, meaning that you could go, hey, it's mindset and creativity class, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I hate that. I wish I'd thought about that for myself, but there you have it. So mindset and creativity class, and then what happens is that you're going to get all these kids who feel like they belong on the island of misfit toys, and they
That was
don't.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Right. And well, you're going to get a lot of people, because that's me too, but I hid behind sports.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
I was a jock that didn't feel like a jock because, I wanted to talk about magic. So that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So you can totally do that. Start with, but I don't recommend you do one, that you don't work with just one kid. Start learning about group setting and figuring out how to do it. So I would say a minimum of 3 kids,
Mhm.
and make it really short, like a half hour, and then you can figure out your demographics.
Got
You
it.
do not do well with preschoolers. You're actually better with like 3rd graders on up, 3rd to 5th grade.
Got it.
The upper yard kids,
Mhm.
right? So work
Yeah.
with the 3rd to 5th graders, and then you can pass them off to Santana, right? Santana for teenagers.
Magic.
Yeah. Right? Because then they could see it in a different way. You could totally pass off. So you could totally do it. And in 30 minutes, if you have to, the nice thing about 30 minutes is that you can bullshit your way through 30 minutes, right? And then just go, okay, so that didn't work. And then you can you can apply it to the next class.
What about teaching kids to work with animals or be with, like, somehow like crossing those two together?
You can do that. I don't see it as a beginner's class.
Got
So
it.
it's almost like work with your kids groups and then start cherry picking.
Right.
Right? Or do your kids groups and then create your curriculum for the other one. So so Dawn doesn't know how to, so yes, she can dial. Hang on one second.
Mhm.
Yes, you can do that. So yeah, so you can totally do that. Either way, the kids and the animal communication is not a beginner course, and it's definitely not a beginner course for parents. You're not going to get see you later, Diane. You're not going to get the crazy parents like they object. You're going to get the crazy parents who overfeel, and because they need to have their own coach. Then
Right.
you send them to me, or you send them to Santana.
Nice.
I want to kick in a little bit too, in that I love this idea, Cynthia, brilliant. And, my kid, 10 years old, is in Montessori school, and she does school online. The
Mhm.
issue here is the teacher is not on with her for very long. It's 20-minute increments.
Mhm.
And then, so she doesn't have a lot of school. And I'm thinking it's because Montessori school doesn't want you to be on media for 4, 5, 6 hours,
Mhm.
right?
Makes sense.
My thought is, Mo, if you contact River Montessori, for example, and say, hey, I can offer a program of connecting with animals and children, and get 5-10 minute sessions where the teacher would appreciate the reprieve, the kids would be more engaged instead of just one teacher, you'd be a special guest. And then the kids go home and they talk about, oh my God, because they, this lady came on and talked to me about Fluffy. I mean, not to say you're going to respond that quickly, but that's how you can start building a business, is be that added, because children are lacking in learning because of online.
Yeah.
You could also do it this way. This is the way I did it. When the pandemic started, I did meditation for kids to help them because they were going through a lot of stress and they saw their parents going through a lot of stress, but they had no vocabulary for it. And
Right.
I actually had to hide tears because it was so profound and how they were feeling, and they were so honest about it, right? So what I did is that I just did a series of meditations, and then through the meditations, you can just let them go to that place naturally, right? So you can go ahead and have them work with any animal before they work with their animal, and then
Right.
you can just lead them that way. So what I found is that the kids loved pretty much any meditation that they loved this thing I called the imagination game, and I'm happy to tell you that in a
Right.
if I have time after the readings.
Mhm.
But that's the way you can get them started,
Okay, cool.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it still falls under that umbrella of mindset and creativity.
right.
And
Love
you could totally put that in with your as part of a school program. And you could even say, I'll donate
Yeah,
30
I'm
hours of my time and see what happens.
yeah. I just saw somebody recently offer, classes, and it was a donation based, pay what you think is right. And I was like, I like that. Like
Yeah.
something about that, like, oh, just as a potential free offering for those who need it, but others, could pay what they feel is fair.
Yeah, and then from there you can turn it into a membership program. So from donation based, and it's membership based, and you say, pay me $20 and
Yeah.
pop in on anything that you want, right? So,
Right.
However you want to do it. What's really important for you is to get the base going so
Mhm.
that you can feel really confident in what you're teaching and how you're approaching it. It's actually not even what you're teaching, it's how you're approaching it.
How to approach it. Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And the last piece is you're gonna get those crazy parents, and the crazy parents you're going to say, I invite you to say, hey, that's really good. It sounds like I would love for you to meet so and so, and then get them onto their own coaching thing, because that way you have served them without having to you've been of service without having to serve them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. While I'm building my muscle.
Even then, I don't think you're into talking to other adults. You know what I mean? That's fine.
I don't mind. I mean, I've been going there, but kids are more attractive to me. You know what I mean? Like, I love kids.
Yeah. And well, the thing is that you've been talking to grown-ups, but you've been talking to them through animals as well. So you always have this medium. It's almost like you use your animals like a tarot card. So
Right.
the reason I use tarot cards more than anything else is because people don't want to focus on themselves. So then they get to look at the card. And you say, look at that symbol here. I do with handwriting all the time. They still get a reading, but then they
Yeah.
get their letter K. See this K? It means, and which is true. This K has to do, where the buckle is about your rebelliousness and that kind of
Cool.
thing. Yeah. So that's what you want to do.
All
Make
right.
sense?
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Dawn, can we hear you? Did you get on? I can't tell if she's on or not. She's on. I can't tell. Hang on. Let me check the chat. Okay. That was all Diane. All right. Hey, Fluffy, we haven't had a chance to hear from you. You got a question? And good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good to see you. I'm sitting outside on the road, so please ignore the distractions. I'm doing good. Happy to be here. I would like to hear anything I need to know, any messages, anything like that. And based on that, I might have an actual question.
Based on that. So, yeah, so where I'm feeling you is I'm feeling you in my mid back, which is affecting my breathing, and it's affecting my my right shoulder and my right arm. This is all very symbolic. So what this tells me is that you're dealing with a thought that's coming from your mid-teenage to mid to late teen years that is now running up against your reality as a man of your age, and it's affecting the way that you breathe, meaning that it's causing you more stress than you need to. Okay, so I'll give you an example. When I was 15, I wanted to be a jock and I wanted to be a cheerleader, right? Because, and then I was horrified that I wanted to be a cheerleader. But so I squashed the cheerleader thing and I kept going on the jock road. And then what happened is that, when I became a mom, I started rubbing up against that thought, which is I'm not cute enough to be a cheerleader. I'm not this enough. I wasn't thin enough. And then I started running up against that thought process. And that thought that no longer served me was affecting how I was running life as a mom, right? So I had to shift that up in order to move forward. So there's a part of you that is like running a thought from when you were 15 or 16, and it probably has to do with rebelliousness or independence, but really it had to do with loneliness. So we want to kind of separate that out so that we can pull out the truth from the truth from the emotional perspective of a 15-year-old, and then we can look at what it really is, and then you can move on. Does that make sense?
It does. So you feel like it has more to do with the fact that I'm still alone, more than the fact that I'm trying to find who I am by rebelling?
No. So when I say no, the answer isn't like straight out no. It's not that it's about your rebelliousness. It's about a thought that you had when you were 15 or 16 that you turned into a personal law. And now all you need to do is amend the law, right? Instead of taking it verbatim. So there's probably a part of you that felt lonely. And then based on that loneliness, you created a truth. And now what's happening is that you're finding yourself and you don't need that peace anymore. The peace that all you're looking for is, when I was 15, I was lonely and it was sucked. And now I want to rectify it in a certain way. And that's how you find yourself. That's part of you finding yourself. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. So, and there's a part of you that's actually, see you later, Kendra. Thank you so much for coming and hanging. That was awesome. So the thing is that, where am I going with this? The thing is that there's a part of you, Fluffy, that's still a little bit lonely. And I want you to know that the loneliness you feel doesn't have to feel that way, because there's a part of you that still holds on to there's this, like, I won't call it a resentment, but there's like a little bit of a resignation there with what happened when you had that thought as a 15 or 16-year-old.
That makes a bit of sense. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to meditate on that a bit. Do you suppose that this might be one of the hurdles that prevents me from actually building the sort of business I want to do?
Yeah, it's actually a big one because it's so pervasive, this thought. It's so pervasive and it's so tamped down that there's actually no thought that goes with it anymore. It's just a piece of that stream of consciousness that's the same as, not stream of consciousness, it's like breathing. We don't think to breathe, we just breathe, right? So that's the thing about this thought process. And I want you to know that there is a part of you in this time frame that you put on a really good show, but you really didn't feel like people got you in a certain way. Does that make sense when I say that? And that's the loneliness. And so now what you want to do is that you want to just peel off that thing that you had to do and just feel the loneliness. Because what'll happen is once you experience the loneliness as you did as a 15 or 16-year-old, you'll know that you're like, this isn't so bad. because this is what I learned. And then you can move on. And then what'll happen is that it peels a layer of what separates you from other people right now. And then you'll be able to connect with people on a deeper level because there's a part of you that still remains separate.
Okay, how do you recommend I get back in touch with that part of myself?
That's a really good question. You can do that through meditation. You could do it through journaling. Do you have any pictures of yourself when you're 15 or 16? Or, and if that's not the age that feels right, find the age that feels right, but it feels like it's in your later teens.
It feels about right.
Okay, so find a picture and then you can go ahead and do a ritual around it, right? And the ritual that I would recommend is that you write to it that you really talk to the 15-year-old as a separate entity, make a reconciliation.
That's easy for me to do.
Yeah, give him,
I'm always having conversations with myself, especially with myself as a 3-year-old kid.
3-year-old?
So, 16-year-old, that's easy.
Oh,
And a
yeah.
picture just resurfaced.
Yeah, so,
a 3-year-old.
yeah, so what you want to do is just completely keep it separate.
I do it all the time as a 3-year-old. I could do it as a 16-year-old. And
Yeah, so here's the thing about, if you go back to 16, is that, so the thing about 3 is that it's, when you go back to 3-year-old, it's really easy to get down to that basic security thing, right? But at 16 is when you turn it into law. So you want to go to the 16-year-old. Then when you go to the 16-year-old, you can do some healing around it because, you know, a 16-year-old, they think that they know just enough to be dangerous. And so you want to peel that off,
yeah,
right? You want to peel that off so you can get to the essence of it. And then that's where the healing comes in. Because, you know, it's like when I was 14, I was playing 3 sports. I was playing 3 sports. I was playing, it was the spring of my freshman year. I was playing district league soccer, which is a competitive soccer. I was playing softball. I was running track. So I was very much into the athletic thing, but really I just wanted to write. So I had to squash the writer in me, right? Because I loved having the friendships. I like people appreciating me in a certain way. I like being solid, dependable. And as a writer, it was very solitary, which I was afraid of being lonely. So then I had to peel that part off, right? And then I have to make peace, I think, with that part of me. Make sense?
that makes
Right?
sense. A picture of me at 16 showed up like 4 or 5 days ago. I love
Oh,
how that
really?
works. And I'm going to do what you said about doing a ritual. Why not? Tomorrow's a full moon. I was looking for something to do. What
Yeah,
tarot
well,
cards do you think I should involved in?
finish I couldn't hear the last part, so I'm just gonna throw this at you. Is that when you're done, treat it as a memorial service, and so make sure that there's flowers, present flowers to your picture, and if you want to bury your picture, it's not a bad thing. Okay, you can bury it in something so you can pick it up again like in 30 days, but if you want to bury it, you can.
Okay. What
Okay.
tarot card should I use for the ritual?
What's that?
What tarot card should I use for the ritual?
What should you use for the ritual? What?
What tarot card
Oh,
should I
tarot
involve
cards.
for the ritual?
Take the one that feels best for you. I have a shit ton of tarot cards that I don't use, right? So the truth is I'll always go back to Osho Zen. So I'll go to the Osho Zen card. If I really want to do something really crazy, then I'll go to the O cards, which I hate. I call them Ho cards. But you know, just pick the one that feels really good for you and work it. You don't even need tarot cards. It's a straight up convo. It's a straight up convo. Okay.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense. I actually have my I actually have a jacket I used to wear when I was 16 a lot. I'll dig that out.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And then you gotta
Thank
find a
you.
way to put it to rest because
Yeah.
there's a reason why you're holding on to it. So there's a difference between holding on to it and letting it rest. So if you do this, once you do this ritual, you want to pack it in a certain way that it's got death to it, right? So pack it, bury it, whatever you want to do, light it on fire. But if you want to keep it, you want to find a way to bury it, right? And put it to rest for at least 30 days. And then when it comes out, it's going to have a different energy for you.
I like
Okay.
that idea.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bury it.
Sounds like a
All
plan.
right. All right. I have done. It's almost 1 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if anybody wants to stay. If they want to stay, great. If not, then we'll let them go. We'll stop the recording and then I'll finish your reading. I'll do a reading for you. Does that sound fair? All right. All right, party people. I love meeting and reading Chill and Chat Fridays. So thank you so much for being here. And it is, oh, and really quick, was it easier to have it at noon or did you like it better having it at 11?
Either way.
Either way was good for you?
Just stick with one time because then like we just know.
Right. So someone actually said that noon would be better for them and I had to switch something up. So I thought I'd give it a shot.
Cool.
All right. Great. So I will catch you guys later. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I'll catch you at the next Chill and Chat if I don't see you sooner. Okay. Bye, everybody.